Hello there guys, what is going on? SonOfChelsea back here again. Rational perspective on Chelsea 4, Morecambe 0. Chelsea comfortably through to the fourth round of the FA Cup once again. Back to winning ways. I felt there were some good moments today. I feel that it's almost a no-win situation for Lampard going into this game based on the recent Premier League form, the criticism, the pressure that, Chelsea are expected to win this game comfortably. They're expected to win it by 4, 5, 6 goals, which they have in the past against lower league opposition. So really, that's the expectancy. What you're sort of hoping in this game, as was shown today, is with Lampard playing such a strong team, none of the likes of Sunset Bell, Bay, Lawrence or Livramento in the squad today, Andrin on the bench. Lampard clearly wanting his first choice players to get back into form ahead of a crucial period of the season and needing to get back to winning ways in the Premier League. I think he'll feel justified in doing so, playing Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Hakim Ziyech, all of them having positive impacts today, 2 of the 3 scoring and all 3 combining for Chelsea's second goal. I was a little bit disappointed in the sluggish nature of that first half. Morecambe absolutely showed nothing today in terms of just sitting deep, hoping to not get battered. Even other teams I've seen come to the bridge over the years, League 1, League 2's teams have offered a little bit more. So Chelsea, I felt it felt like the players were taking it as a bit of a chore playing this game rather than an opportunity to score a lot of goals and get some confidence back up going into the upcoming Premier League games. That was a bit of a shame for me in the first half. Mason Mount, though, taking the opportunity. I was a little bit stunned that Mason Mount did feature. And that midfield three, I want to hear your opinions because I think it's very likely that midfield three is the one that starts against Fulham. Gilmour, Havertz and Mount, because without N'Golo Kante, who's going to be suspended for that game, I just think if you're looking at who should play deep for Chelsea in midfield, I'd rather have Billy Gilmour than Jorginho based on the style of play we usually go with. Lampard want to attack that game against Fulham, and I just think he offers better mobility, better physicality in that area, and I just feel Gilmour takes his opportunities, and I think he's a lot sharper than Jorginho this season. I think too often Jorginho sort of slow on the ball, and I feel that hopefully Gilmour will get that opportunity in the Premier League. Let me know your opinions on that, but I feel that with Mount and Havertz, I think Mount, brilliant to see him score on his birthday today. His 2 goals this season have been long-range hits. The first was against West Brom in September. The second today, brilliant strike. Quite clearly, Mount, Emerson, a couple of those players in midfield clearly knew that with Morecambe sitting so deep, there was much more space to hit from long range, and it was such a great strike that got Chelsea off and running. But the second goal didn't come to just before half-time, and it was a brilliant combination between Hakim Ziyech on the right, cutting onto his left. Brilliant ball into Kai Havertz, who headed the ball into the path of Timo Werner. Easy to knock the ball in and finally end his goal drought. I felt all round it was great to see those 3 signings combine. Hakim Ziyech back from injury, looking much more fit today. He had an influence as well in the second half, creating a goal for Callum Hudson-Odoi brilliantly, a wonderful pass. But I felt for Kai Havertz, I felt it was important, and we saw this in his goal later in the game, getting into the box a lot more. I feel that's something either by failure of tactics or instruction by Lampard. He needs to get into the ball a lot more, especially when Timo Werner's playing centrally and you don't have the physicality of Olivier Giroud or Tammy Abraham. Timo is not like any other striker we've had recently. He's not a bulky striker. You can't expect to pump the ball into him and he's going to shield it down on his chest. You have to play to his strengths and you need to get other players in and around him from midfield. And I feel that Kai Havertz has that ability. We saw that today. I'd like to see that a lot more against better opposition moving forward because he can be dangerous in those areas, especially with his height. I think that he can win a lot of headers in that area and he set up Timo very well. So it just calmed things down a little bit going into half time. And the second half, great to see Callum Hudson-Odoi get on the score sheet. A really good run and a wonderful ball by Hakim Ziyech. Once again, Morecambe's defence sitting so deep, probably downhearted by that point. It was such an intelligent run and it keeps Callum Hudson-Odoi's good run going, in terms of form. And I think, once again, should he be starting against Fulham? I think he probably should. I think between him and Christian Pulisic, you look at the impact and influence Callum Hudson-Odoi has had in recent games. I think, once again, if Callum isn't starting against Fulham, I think he'll feel very hard done by. I know it's easy to look at, once again, the opposition, but he sets up the first goal for Mason Mount and he scores the third goal with a really well-timed run and finish. So that really killed off the game then. And we saw some changes. We saw Tammy Abraham come on. We saw Andrin, Giroud, Pulisic. So some changes, even for Kairo Tomori getting some minutes. And then later on, Kai Havertz getting a goal from a Cesar Azpilicueta cross into the box. It was some nice play down the right. There were some really nice moments in the second half. I think as the game began to open up, we saw more bodies getting into the box. Chelsea realising that, Morecambe are not going to attack us here. Just getting more bodies forward and trying to get some goals. We could have had a couple more, to be honest, on the day. Their keeper making some fine stops. But Kai Havertz, headed goal in the box once again. Chelsea sort of reverting to a 4-4-2 late on with Tammy Abraham coming on along with Olivier Giroud. But it was great for Kai. I think that really rounded off his day well. So you get a goal and an assist on the day. And I think that sets him up potentially to start the game against Fulham. Let me know in the comments below. Would you start Kai Havertz against Fulham? I just feel Chelsea lack off the ball runners into the box. We lack danger men. We lack goal scorers from the midfield. That's something Chelsea have lacked for a number of years. And I just think Kai, if he's getting back to fitness, if he's getting back to form, if Frank Lampard can utilise him a bit more in that number 8 role, just because he starts in that number 8 role doesn't mean he needs to be really deep. Mount can maybe get a little bit deeper with the likes of Gilmour, because I think Mount's such an effective player from deep as well. And if Kai can make those runs alongside Timo Werner, I think that can be a very dangerous partnership in the future. So I feel that Kai Havertz today will come away from this game feeling good. I think Ziyech will as well, getting more fitness in the legs as we go into Premier League games once again. As well, I felt that Kepa, I want to give some credit to him, of course, because I think just mentally for him, it must be difficult because the writing's been on the wall for a long time now in terms of Kepa's future at Chelsea. He doesn't have one. He's likely going to stay for the remainder of the season, hoping to get some minutes potentially in some of these FA Cup games. If Chelsea get decent draws moving forward, he'll likely play those games like he did today, and could have, conceded a goal early on, but in the end, it was a pretty good stop. I think you've got to give him credit for that. Didn't have a lot to do, but I just think, nice to see him get on the pitch and get some minutes. And of course, we know he'll likely be off in the summer. Fikayo Tomori has to be off this month. I think once again, him being in the matchday squad, but not starting the game with Kurt Zouma starting as well, I think Tomori has to be off. He has to get a loan somewhere, and it'd be a shame to see him leave permanently. Apparently, the Christensen injury is sort of making Chelsea a little bit hesitant to let him go, but I think for Tomori's own career, he desperately needs minutes, and even could have set up Olivier Giroud for a 5th goal later on with a wonderful ball into the box. But yeah, this is the FA Cup third round. Experiencing FA Cup third round games at the Bridge for a number of years, they sort of take a similar pattern, especially when you're playing such lower league opposition. And, they sit so deep, you score the first, it usually opens up the game. I just think today, getting Timo Werner on the score sheet, getting Kai Havertz on the score sheet, Callum looking good, once again Ziyech, just in attack, hopefully getting that energy and sharpness, that one-touch play we saw a few months ago back into the team, because Lampard needs it now going into a massive run of games, especially starting with Fulham, where hopefully Chelsea can get back to winning ways in the Premier League. Let me know your opinions. In terms of man of the match, once again, lower league opposition, I think, you'd have to look at Ziyech, of course, setting up Callum's third wonderfully. I think Kai Havertz added a lot in the second half as well. So I'd probably go between those two players. Mason, always at a decent standard as well. Once again, always difficult to gauge against a League 2 opposition. But Chelsea are in the hat. And as I said yesterday in my preview, this is Chelsea's most realistic chance of silverware. Do not dismiss the FA Cup. I think that this could be a big end to the season if Chelsea can make it to the final once again in the latter stages of this competition. You always are hoping that you get a decent draw and you can get quite a way into the competition like we did last season, but Frank proved he can go deep in this competition, so fingers crossed Chelsea can do the same and potentially put themselves in line to redeem themselves after that FA Cup final defeat last season. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter at SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.